So what else is new to the library here in the middle of October? Well, let's start with, we got a new Big Nate book, Big Nate Aloha. So we did not have a copy of this book, and Big Nate is very popular. So we got some new Big Nate to add to the library. Very exciting. Big Nate, written by Lincoln Pierce. Another thing that I had a lot of people that were asking me for is I had a lot of people that were asking me to get some new Raina Telgemeier. So we got a copy of Drama, but not only did we get a regular copy of that, we also got it in Spanish, which it looks the same until you get to the back there. So, and obviously the inside. So that enables more of our students to be able to access this, and some of our students to be able to read in their home language as well. So Drama is a graphic novel about Callie, who loves theater, and while she would totally try out for a middle school's production of Moon Over Mississippi, she can't really sing. So it's kind of about being a part of the theater and maybe wanting to be a part in a different way, being happy or not happy, and kind of contributing to the group as a whole. I've read this graphic novel, really fun, and so we've got it in English and Spanish. Another book that we added is Legacy. So this is a book of poetry by women poets of the Harlem Renaissance. It's collected together by Nikki Grimes. So about half of the poems in here are written by poets, female poets from the Harlem Renaissance, and the other half are poems written by Nikki Grimes. And Nikki Grimes takes those original poems written by the poets from the Harlem Renaissance, and she reworks them using a method called the Golden Shovel, and writes her own poems out of them. This is, again, an award-winning book, fantastic book. It features original artwork as well by Vanessa Brantley Newton, Cosby A. Cabrera, Nina Cruz, Pat Cummings, Laura Freeman, and more. So really a great book of poetry, so we added some poetry to the collection. Another book that we had a lot of people asking for, this is really just our second copy, but we added another copy of Coraline. Probably a lot of you guys are familiar with Coraline from the Leica animated movie, but we added our second copy of Coraline since we can't keep it in stock. It's constantly checked out. Another book that we added is This Was Our Pact. So every year there's a festival in this town where they go and they kind of put these paper lanterns into the river, and those paper lanterns float down the river and then float up into the sky and become the stars. These kids have said that forever they wanted to basically see where the lanterns really go, and so 4 kids decide to take off following these lanterns up the river without their parents' permission, and ultimately some of them end up going back home, but 2 of them, who are not even really that close, decide that they still really want to know. They're going to continue on. But somewhere along the journey, they sort of cross into this magical world. They travel further than anyone's ever gone, and in this magical world, there are things like talking bears, and there is a magical danger that has to be faced. And this is a really beautiful and fun graphic novel. Again, an award winner, highly recommend. This Was Our Pact, written by Ryan Andrews. Another book that we added was Amari and the Night Brothers. So Amari and the Night Brothers, again, another award winner, written by B.B. Alston. So Amari Peters is, she lives with her mother and her son, she lives with her mother and her brother. Her mother is a very hardworking nurse, and her brother is like the smartest of the smart. So smart that he got chosen for a special kind of internship program in this very fancy school. And so he went off to that, but he never came back. And they've been told essentially that he has passed away. But Amari doesn't buy it. And Amari's angry. And so Amari gets in trouble at school, and her mom grounds her from screens and from going out. But she disobeys her mom, and she ends up running into this kind of weird person who says, I've got a message from your brother, who may or may not actually be dead, who may or may not actually be missing. And so what happens is Amari gets accepted into the same program that her smart brother got accepted into. And it is a sort of spy school dealing with the supernatural. And so not only is she here learning how to face supernatural elements and attacks, but she is also trying to figure out what really happened to her brother. This is the first book. We have the sequel coming soon. And the last book that I'm going to talk about in this video before I do a third video is this book called The Whiz Mob and the Grenadine Kid by Colin Malloy, with art by his wife, Carson Ellis. So it's an ordinary Tuesday morning in April when bored, lonely Charlie Fisher witnesses something incredible. That's the first line on the back of the book. He's in Marseille, France, and he sees this group of kids who are essentially a group of pickpockets called a whiz mob, do this elaborate, like sort of act to pickpocket people in the square. Charlie is so enamored by this whole act, watching everything happen, that he doesn't realize that he was one of their marks, and he gets robbed too. But he's more fascinated than anything by that. It's the most fascinating thing that's happened since he moved to France with his dad, who is an American ambassador. And he ends up protecting one of the kids from getting in trouble, and convincing them to teach him how to also become a pickpocket. But it sort of enters him into this dangerous world. And that is the Whiz Mob and the Grenadine Kid by Colin Meloy. And so I'm very excited to talk about all of those. I've got one more video to talk about a lot of the other books that we got, so stay tuned.